Hello guys, it's me Morley, and today we'll be reviewing the 13 books I read in January. Welcome back to my January wrap-up. I'd like to address 3 things. 1, apparently the world knew that it was the end of January because the god up there knew that I was going to record my video today and decided to rain and mess up the lighting. 2, my hair, it looks like crap, so I put it up and put aliens in, and we're going to ignore it. And I also reorganized my bookshelves. There's a lot missing from those, so we're going to ignore that. Alright, let's get to it. I had to write down what I rated these books because I put the rating in my notes app, which is recording, my phone's recording. So we started out the year strong, and I read the Renegades series by Marissa Meyer. I'd like to take this moment to thank my friend Claire with an I and my friend Claire without an I for telling me to read these, because these are actually the 3 2025 books I was going to just chuck on to the end of the other video, and then my camera died. So, let's start. The first book, Renegades, got a 4.6 because I'm afraid to give out 5 stars. I think this was really good, a really good intro. It's very thick. All of these books are about 550 to 450 pages long. Wow. Renegades. I was a big fan of this book, hence the 4.6. It just got off 4 points I think it got 4 points off because it was good. It just kind of felt a little longer than it needed to be. And also the other books in the series were better, so that did hinder this a little bit. Although I did read this first book in 3 days. Overall, I'd probably reread it if I was rereading the entire series, but I'm not really gonna just read this book. Which leads me to the book that I am just going to reread. This is the banger. This is a 4.8, 2 points off because it couldn't be a 5-star, because the only reason it would be a 5-star is because of the kiss in the middle. Oh wait, I also thought I should probably explain the books that I'm rating. So, hold on. Come back. This is about she's a villain, and she's posing on the team of the Renegades. She's an anarchist. She's posing as a renegade to try to get information, and then some fun shenanigans happen. And basically, she's upset with the Renegades because they weren't there when her family died. This entire book is literally just her posing as a renegade. We get more romance in this one. There is a minor kind of subplot of romance. I wouldn't say subplot, but I wouldn't say main plot for sure. Also, I just read books for romance most of the time. Like, if I'm reading a fantasy book, it's because of the romance in it. So, this kiss. Here's my thing. I know Marissa Meyer. She wrote all of these lovely books right here. So I know what she can do. I know the kisses that she can write. Yeah, that's just simply what I'm going to say there. And then the last one, Supernova, got a 4.7. So we have an average rate here, you know, 4.6, 4.8, and a 4.7. I liked this book because all of the lies and deceit and tomfoolery came to a head in this book. Also, it had Callum in it. And I'm a fan of Callum. I would say probably that this was my favorite. It definitely gave us a lot of red flags in the main relationship, but it gave us another relationship that I'm a big fan of. Try not to spoil a lot. I really went in depth about it, in my group chat to Galeo and Galeo. But I would say, yeah, The Puppeteer. Still not over that, Melissa Meyer. When I Find You, when I Thank You for the Lunar Chronicles, when I Thank You for Instant Comment with a Little Love, when I Thank You for the kiss in the Anarchist, in Arch Nemesis, I will find you for what happens to the puppeteer. Ow! I also read the Arch Nemesis in one day and Supernova in the same day. I read them both at the same time. I had a little readathon and I went to bed at 2 a.m. And I started this book at 9. This is what made me think that I was a fast reader. Finished the entire series in 3 days. And the first 3 days was spent reading the first book. This was dragged out. That's one thing I would say, dragged. Next, Meet Me in the Middle by Alex Light. As many of you know, Alex Light wrote It's Not Me, It's You, which was my 2024 favorite read. She also wrote The Upside of Falling, which was what got me into my book craze in the first place. This got a 2.9. The single-handed lowest rated book of the year. I mean, of so far. It's just been 1 month. I started sobbing. I was in the car for 6 hours and I read this. Yep. Oh, it's about this girl whose best friend is in a coma and how she's dealing with that and how the best friend's older brother is dealing with that. And while trying to, they like each other at the same time. I will say here, I rank books off of happy endings, and this was not a happy ending, so it, got a low rating. I was also trying to read this and then put it down to pick up the Renegades and then put it down and then finished it purely because it was the book that I had with me in the car. So, next, Didn't See That Coming by Jessie Q. Sutanto. This got a 4.8. I liked this book a lot. It's about this girl, Kiki, who goes to a new school and doesn't act like how she's supposed to, and so they all call her Crazy Kiki and get really upset with her. And meanwhile, she plays video games with this one guy who goes to that school, and she finds out who it is, and then starts falling for him. This book made you believe that it was going to kick you upside the side of the head, and then it didn't. I read this in the hotel room when I had finished my 6-hour drive. It deals with feminism, it deals with misogyny, it deals with sexism, it deals with, is it okay to just listen to your superiors because they're adults? And it was, oh yeah, all the books so far, 0 spice. So this got a 4.8. Actually, I would totally read this again. Like, this was a really fast paced, I was into it, I really liked it. I watched the anime My Love Story with Hanako-kun. Yanako. I don't remember. At level 999. I was thinking of those characters this entire book. And I wasn't complaining. Okay. Ooh, that fell. Okay, now time for another thank you to Claire without an I and Claire with an I. I said them backwards this time because I love both of you. Oh, sorry. For this next recommendation of books, The Inheritance Games. Oh yeah, so whenever I read Supernova, if anyone's read it, the epilogue actually stinks. Really bad. I almost threw the book across the room at 2 a.m. Would have screamed if my entire family wasn't sleeping and my sister wasn't sleeping in my room next to me, and I would have slapped someone. She was the closest. That's why I didn't. Thank you for saying, hey, have you read the Inheritance Games? Because I was literally looking, I was buying my sister books, and I looked at the Inheritance Games, and I was like, I've heard of this. But my mom told me not to get her a series, because then she'd have to get the rest of her series, and that's just rude. So I was like, oh, I won't get the series for her. And I kind of had, like, a lot of, like, assumptions about what this book was. And then I, like, was going into it, and I was like, okay. The first one got a 4.9, so let's just talk about that right now. This got a 4.9 because it would have been amazing if it hadn't have been a series. I know, my gosh, Marley, you can't judge things off of this other characters in the book, and you got... I can, and I will. It should have been a standalone book. You could have plopped extra 10 chapters sprinkled in there of the romance, and then I would have been fine. But no. And there's still more. I didn't even get all of them. There's Games Untold, and then there's the Grandest Games Part 1, and then there's Grandest Games Part 2 at some point, if she ever sucks it up and releases all of them. Like, this is a money pit. This is just a money grab. Just trying to get money. Plain and simple. I can't even, like, salute it because I'm stuck on the end having to wait until my friend Anya reads Games Untold and tells me if it's good. Speaking of Anya, have you even finished that yet? Anyway, 4.9. The Hawthorne Legacy. Big fan of this cover. This is my favorite cover of the entire. It's got a 4.6 because I thought the search for Toby was really ridiculous. I also spilt my strawberry sigh lemonade on the first, like, 40 pages. So there's just a little bit of a pink spill on that. Who cares? I did. Actually, I was almost sad, like, sobbing. This got a 4.6 because I did not think it was needed. The whole Toby thing was really weird. And this one had a lot more twists and turns. I was, like, pacing, freaking out, throwing this book on the ground, picking it back up, and then throwing it back down again, screaming, crying. My parents almost took it away. I feel like there is an amount of plot twist that you can have in a book, and this book is just like, wee! Final Gambit got a 4.8. So I was a big fan of this one. I didn't get tired of the story well. I love Nash. And I didn't love it because, again, it feels like every single one there's more plot twists added. But yeah, as the end of a series, it was good. I was happy. Actually, I was really mad at a lot of characters, but I like Nash. I hate Grayson and Jameson. And then because my friends told me I needed to read the 4th book, The Hawthorne Legacy, 4.4. I almost DNF'd this multiple times, and the only reason I didn't was because I knew I was going to have to make this video, and I knew I was going to have to sit here in front of all of you telling you how I DNF'd it. So I just powered through, baby. I just did it. Say good job. See? Okay. Grayson didn't care for him much in this book. Toward the end, he was the only reason I continued reading it, though. So that really should tell you. I hated him, but then it was the only reason I was continuing to read the book. Because I loved Gigi. So, yeah. I feel like we needed more Xander in this book. I literally want a book of Xander and Nash. Why? And Jameson, this entire book felt really, shoot, I totally looked up like a synonym for the word that I had in my brain because I didn't want to have to say it. I'd like want to be family friendly or whatever. What is the word? He felt very, romantic. I feel like, yeah. I'll just say it. He was very horny, and I'm not completely sure why. It just felt out of left field. He was just like, she's an item. The entire time. I don't even know really what was happening with his storyline. I stopped paying attention. I made it through, though. And they look pretty on my shelves. So that's why I've got them. Ugh. Okay, next book. Gotta flip the page now on my journal. Once Upon a Broken Heart. Because I read the Inheritance Games, it put me in a fantasy mood. And I literally am never in a fantasy mood. Once Upon a Broken Heart by... Oh, I forgot to say that these are by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Oh, and they're about a girl who wins and who gets an inheritance from someone she doesn't know, and then the shenanigans that follow. This is about a girl who makes a deal with a immortal prince, and she continues to do a lot of stuff. I made the mistake of getting the paperback, so now I have to wait until April 1st to get the paperback of A Curse for True Love, because it doesn't come out until April 1st. I would have gotten the hardback had I known. I actually went to Walmart and I picked up Beg, Borrow, and Steal by Sarah Adams, and then I picked up Daydreamers, and then saw that Daydreamers was written by the same person who wrote Icebreaker, and I ran across the store to put it back, and I picked up Once Upon a Broken Heart. I actually do have The Ballad of Never After, and I immediately got out of a fantasy mood right after I read this, so that's why it's still on my shelf. So, I'll probably read it this month, February. Yeah, this got a 4.6 because I was really interested in the romance, And then the romance was kind of weird. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. Next up, Beg, Borrow, or Steal. Beg, Borrow, or Steal by Sarah Adams. This was her 2025 release. I jumped on this one quick. I actually saw Destiny Sidwell talk about this in her video, and so when I saw it at Amazon, at Walmart, I was like, you're coming home with me, and I should have left it on the shelf. This is about a girl whose arch nemesis returns home, and she actually sends an email to the school's principal, and so he has to help her get it back. And he's also her neighbor. I didn't know that this was actually in like a series. It's not really. It's in the same universe as 2 other books she's written. So I went into this completely and utterly unknowing and didn't even know until I looked up if I was on crack or if this book actually sucked. This got a 3.5. I'll tell you why. Spice. This is not a clean book. All the other ones this year have been clean. Don't know if you noticed that. This one broke our little streak. It had a warning in the beginning, and so like the rest of the time I was like, oh, we're on chapter 23, like it's coming any day now, man. It's just gonna show up. I liked this little honeybees thing. It says, hello little honeybees, you glorious sharp-edged perfection seekers. You've been working so hard, holding everything together. Come sit down with me for a while and take a load off. Like, sure, I will do that. So this says there's a trigger warning, and it says, if you like closed-door romances, skip chapters 25 and 32. So the entire time I'm reading, I'm like, chapter 23, chapter 24. Okay, guys, it's chapter 25. You know, in a romance book, when they like get together and there's this big sweeping amount of emotion, and they're like, I love you, Charlie, and she's like, and he's like, yeah, me too. Their big sweeping moment of, oh my gosh, all these feelings I've had for you as nemesises our entire lives. All of my inner monologue of talking about how much I hated your beautiful grin and how your smile lit up the room was them doing the Devil's Tango. And then whenever they like were mad at each other and the third act conflict showed up, their getting back together was the Devil's Tango. What is wrong with you? Also, there's 2 teachers, and they're 2 second grade teachers. I didn't want to think about that. I didn't want to think, what were my second grade teachers doing on the weekends? .5. And then because I'm literally a genius, I thought, okay, this book was terrible, so I'm going to pick up When in Rome by the same author. This is the first book, and then there's the second book, and then there's this one. And so they're siblings in this. The main character, girl, and the boy, siblings. Actually, no, don't do that. Sweet. I never noticed that the pages are 2 completely different colors. When in Rome. I literally cannot even. 5 stars. 5 stars. I think I might have found my 2025 book in 2025, like the first month. I read this. I'm gonna start crying. I literally cannot even describe how good this book was. It was... I love Noah. Okay, that was a little frisky after dark, but I love Noah. Also, not clean. I don't believe. Actually, no. We follow them right up until it starts being naughty. Like, I'm so sorry. Clothes are off, but nothing's happened. And then end chapter. So I definitely feel like, I haven't read the second book that comes between them, but I think that this was like her first bad book. I think this is the first book that she wrote that was like smut, because their relationship felt very physical. And also they were talking about it the entire time. Anyway. I'm in love with this book. I haven't read Roman Holiday. I mean, I haven't watched it. The Audrey Hepburn movie. I haven't. Is this an Audrey Hepburn movie too? Actually, I hope it's not. I don't think it is. I haven't seen Roman Holiday. I probably should after this, but I cannot even. I was squealing, kicking my feet. And then the book that I read after this, I don't know if it was just a letdown or if it was a letdown because of this. The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. I keep smelling all of them. I read this in one sitting. I was homesick from school yesterday, and I sat down on the couch and I didn't get back. I didn't get back up until it was done. I was a big fan of this book. I was not a big fan of the guy, because he went from being like, I'm just like the most innocent little guy, and there's not an ounce of toxic masculinity in me, and butterflies land on my pinkies, and I carry around a picture of my grandpa and my grandma in my wallet, and my mom's a gardener and my dad's an English teacher. And then whenever they start kissing, you find out he's a raccoon. Homeboy, why are you growling? Why was that happening? This is also spicy, and I skipped the spice, so I can't really tell you what happened there. I was a big fan of how she handled the magic system, because I did not know that that was how that was going to happen. I knew the premise of this book. I didn't know where it was headed. Crazy! Oh my God. I came running out of space, so I have to talk fast. This got a 4.8, in parentheses 7.35, because I didn't think that it needed a whole 5 stars. It got 1 point off of the original because there's a porn point. My mom came up with that, porn point. And it got 1 point off because I did not think the grandmas needed to be gay. That felt really unnecessary. And then the 7.35 was because it was not a full 4.8, and that really bothered me. And that's all the books that I read in 2024. Sorry, I just had a seizure. That's all of the books that I read in January of 2025. Come back to see my Valentine's Day reads, and if I beat my 13 that I read this year.